Hello and welcome to another episode of the Electric Norwegian. I'm Mats. Now, this is not going to be very electric, it's going to be just a Norwegian, because I have something special to show you today. It's my car, I bought it with my money, and yeah, I really can't believe I own this thing. This is a Jaguar Xj6. I'm sorry if it's quite dirty. It's been just picked it up. I'm storing it. Swapping between this and a Ford car, a street car. More on that on another video. I bought this one a week ago. And it's a 1996 model. It's what Jaguar people call an x300. It came in 1994. This is the poor man's version. Very nice leather seats. Very comfortable indeed. That's the original radio over there. Jaguar is known for their, well, poor quality, but these seats and this interior in general, it really is very well screwed together. It's not much creaking at all, really. The 3.2 liter Xj6 straight 6, same engine as the XJR uses, except that has a supercharger for added oomph. This doesn't. It develops around 211 horses or so. Completely adequate really for this car. The car weighs around 1800 kilos, so it's a beautiful classic shape, this one. They sort of look the same for almost 50 years. So kind of Porsche has a 911 and Jaguar has this, or had at least until 15 years ago or thereabouts. I don't think it's any rust on it, not much. It looks quite well taken care of. I wasn't supposed to have a black car, but you buy this on condition, so yeah, I'm gonna have a bumper-to-bumper check on it next week, so that's gonna be interesting. So in the worst energy crisis known to man, I go ahead and buy myself an old Jag. Well, that's not very clever, is it? But I couldn't know this would happen. After all. Let's start it up, shall we? All sweetness and light. And the controls here, the lights. That was supposed to be cruise control. It doesn't have cruise control, and it has semi-manual seats, which is the two things it sort of lack. Other than that, it's all alright. All leather and wood and proper thick, really nice seats. With except for the headlining, that's a Jag problem. So I'm gonna get some pins and just pin it to the roof. That's the cheapest way, then I don't have to reupholster it entirely. It is really a nice place to be, more properly old school. The air conditioning works, as I'm sure you can hear. It's a really sweet riding thing, this. Because this rides on 18-inch wheels. Originally it was supposed to have, it came with 16, because remember this is from the mid-90s where everything, I mean, you know, 17-inch was what you put on a Porsche, after all. It still rides very, very softly with these tires. It's just so compliant and nice, and you just have to. I can't really believe I actually own a Jag. I've been I've been sort of having a half an eye on this for years, and then I never really had the funds to it. And now I came into this. It has a few issues. The headlining is one of them. The other one is an intermittent starter problem. But I found what it was. That's a nice thing about an old car, because someone always had the same issue before you. It's simply the positioning sensor on the automatic gearbox. It doesn't register park. So you just wiggle the gear stalk and it's all okay, and it starts up just fine. Air conditioning, everything works really, except there's no sound coming from the passenger door speakers. But we're gonna have a look at that. I'm probably gonna change all the speakers anyway, so it doesn't really matter. And there's something in the front suspension. It could be a bushing or something, because it's pulling slightly that way from time to time. Other than that, it's just fine. Gearbox changes nicely. Very few rattles. This is a 25-year-old car. Very few rattles from the interior. And it's just a wonderful place to sit. And these seats are so comfortable. And that X300 just doing its job in the front there. It's a very long car though. It's 5.2 meters long, so it's almost as long as a OG. It isn't as wide though. It's 1.8 meters wide. And of course, this being based on an old Jag, the undercarriage of this is from the mid-80s. The interior packaging is rather, well, bad, because the seats don't go far enough back, and it's a bit cramped in the back seats. So even though it's a long car, it really, they could have done better on the interior packaging. Of course, the car that came after this is much better, but it's also more expensive, so one does one's choices after all. But this is just a roundabout, summer roundabout, and I think maybe I'll keep this one. Even though this is the smallest engine, well, you can't exactly call it, it's not lacking for power. It's not quick, but it's not slow either. As I mentioned, the steering is a little bit off, so I have to be careful with that. Now we are doing 120, and given that this is an old car built on 40-year-old underpinnings, it's not really half bad, is it? And they just get this suspension sorted. This is a car, it's not a sports car, it's not an M5, but it does, you can sort of hustle it down the road, on a half-open country road. It's just beautiful, and it rides so nicely, it's so smooth, it's so cosseting. They're relatively cheap too, not as cheap as they were a few years ago, but still you get them for around between 5,000 and 10,000 euros, probably. Just look out for rust. The mechanical components are relatively rock solid actually, the gearbox and the engine. Watch out for timing chain issues with the, no, not timing chain. Chain tensioner issues. You can hear that if you start when you start the engine. If it's no rattling, it's okay, because that was a problem. They could just brake. But if now the cars are so old that they're probably fixed by now. I mean, if it hasn't happened by now, it probably won't happen. So just look out for rust. This is rust proofed and treated, so it should be okay. Mostly, I mean, it's an old car, so it's not perfect. You know, you have to take it for what it is. But I mean, I often speak of the old Audi A8, and yeah, that's a much more modern car. Definitely. This is a style and a feel that you don't get in the Audi. It's just so cool and so different than anything else. Like I mentioned in the I-Pace video, if you want something that your neighbor doesn't have, get a Jag. And if you want something with a sense of occasion, I mean, a 7 Series or an A8 or an S-Class, they're all nice, but this is, particularly with today's fuel prices, when you just treat yourself to fuel this one up, and it's gonna be expensive. It's gonna be around 160 euros for a tank, given today's fuel prices. It's just, it's 80-litre tank on this one. When you treat, this is a treat. This is something you dress up to do. Look, I have my shirt on and everything, and because it's really, you know, it's something you look forward to. It's an occasion. A 7 Series isn't an occasion in the same way, at least. That's my opinion. So, yeah. You passed 3,000 in this one, and it really gets into its power band. It's just so sweet. Really. And the steering, it isn't the most communicative steering in the world. It isn't meant to be. And it's a bit of weight to it, but it's so quiet in here. This thing rolls on 18-inch tires, summer tires. This is a cruiser. This is a mile-munching machine of the absolute highest order. Yes, it's not as spacious as it could have been, but oh, there's wood and dead cow everywhere, and air conditioning doing its thing. It's not saving the planet, but on the other hand, it's an occasion, and this won't be used that much, so the total amount of emissions from this one is quite negligible, I think, in the big scheme of things. So yeah, there you have it. The Jaguar Xj6 x300. Tell me if you want to know some more about it, because I'm gonna keep you posted. And might even fix the clock on this one. They always break. It's the band from the LCD display to the transmitter or something. It just burns out. It's just a common problem. It's not a problem. It's easy to fix if I can be bothered. I'll pin the headlining up and get the suspension sorted. Not the suspension, the bushings or whatever it is causing this steering issue. Apart from that, as far as I know, well, and the speakers, but everything else, it's just wonderful. And it does that as well when you want it to. The gearbox, it's just, seems like all the expensive bits are quite well as they are, and that's a good thing on an old car like this. Now I'm gonna enjoy myself a little bit more. Thanks for watching. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye bye.